So let's head into the Altech numbers. We saw a loss coming through for the company. We saw an increase in revenue of 3.3% to 9.9 billion rand. West Africa, East Africa looking very weak. Yes. What did you make of those numbers?
Yeah, I think very disappointing, certainly for Altech and non-performance overall for the past year. And I think a lot of it rides on the back of other African operations outside of South Africa. Probably predominantly East Africa would have been struggling to, I think, reposition KDN, the cable business. They've got fiber optic network business to be more competitive. The situation has changed dramatically within that market from a supply perspective on national front, national cables. Internationally, they've lost some of the key clients, and it's not easy. It's a lot more competitive. The demand from clients is limited. It's not a very big market, even regionally, and because of the oversupply, the price of bandwidth on a wholesale side has decreased quite significantly.
The company says that it's going to sell. Of course, we spoke to Craig Venter a little earlier today. He was saying that West Africa up for sale. They've been there for 8 years. They don't really know if they would be heading back there. But East Africa, they're very vehement about turning that operation around. Is this good news for investors?
I think it is. It's a very different business between West and East Africa, and the East Africa is what is going to, I think, be driving telecommunications markets over the next few years going forward, and that's backhaul transmission networks regionally, and KDN is in a very good position that it's, I think, the only operator in the East African region that has a fairly comprehensive regional network now, a transmission network, and a full ring. It means it can offer a lot better value to its clients than most of its competitors because of full redundancy across different submarine cables and with a full ring redundancy in the region. So I think from that perspective, it needs to be able to gain more business, and that's obviously a factor of being very attractive in terms of price and quality to its clients.
Okay, so we know that they're doing fantastically well, set-top box sales in Australia and Europe. They're looking for acquisitions into Latin America. Is this a stock that you would want exposure to, Dobek?
I think, maybe not immediately. We also have to take into consideration South Africa. I think Altech, Autopage in the telecommunications space, where it has tried to reinvent itself. Now it's trying to do better what it has been doing before and expand it into a full telecommunications service provider rather than just mobile. But it is a very competitive market, and Altech is not the only one doing it. And there are also players that are better positioned than Altech to take advantage of the changing environment.
Telkom renewing its cautionary announcement and talking of KT Corporation deal, being finalised at this stage. But bad news coming through from Telkom. I mean, we saw that trading update not too long ago. Headline earnings per share for the year to March could be down by as much as 25%. The overhauling and maintenance of their network also being stopped by courts. So it's just one piece of bad news after the other. Is this good news today?
Well, we hope the bad news will stop coming out of Telkom. This is maybe the last of the bad news. Telkom needs the cash, so it would be a good, probably, transaction for Telkom from that perspective. It needs investment to be able to upgrade its network and continue expansion of product lines. For whether it's going to mean a lot to the end user, enterprise and consumer in the short to medium term, not necessarily. I think South Africa is certainly a very different environment than Korea in terms of social demographic makeup. And I'm not sure South Koreans will be able to quite replicate what they had done in South Korea because of that.
But if they do get it right, I mean, what kind of growth opportunities lie ahead for Telkom?
Well, if they do get it right, Telkom has access to a far wider addressable market than it does now from a broadband perspective. Obviously, there are other factors that limit it: education, electricity in some places, and so forth. But again, I'm not confident Koreans would be able to replicate it. They may add some value, but not, I think, to the extent.
Before we say goodbye, and again, I've spoken to quite a few, ministers of communication over the past 3 years. But the most recent, of course, was talking about the movement to the digital platform. What is your sense on this? Do you think it's going to happen anytime soon? Because we still haven't really heard any tangible information.
A digital platform in.
With regards to the migration to.
In general, for broadcasting.
Yes.
It's obviously still going ahead as planned. I think there are doubts, probably more doubts than before, that it's going to take place within the prescribed timelines. But it's something that I think everyone is waiting for with anticipation. One of the reasons is that it is going to free up frequencies and spectrum frequencies that can be reused in the telecommunications arena for broadband purposes, particularly when we look at rural broadband deployment, which would be very positive.
That sounds fantastic. Hopefully it happens soon. Thank you so much, Dobek. Great to have you in studio. As always, Dobek Pater, ICT Analyst at Africa Analysis.